Nebraska's history since 1867 reveals a tragic betrayal by Governors Keith Neville, Dwight Griswold, Robert Cochran, Val Peterson, Frank Morrison, Norbert Tiemann, James Exon, Ben Nelson, Mike Johans, Dave Heineman, Pete Ricketts, and Jim Pillen, alongside congressional delegates and compliant legislatures. These leaders sent over 150,000 Nebraskans to die in World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, the Gulf Wars, and post-9/11 conflicts under deplorable military leadership that reflected America's deceitful and reckless leadership. Wars driven by deceit, Lusitania's provocation, Pearl Harbor's negligence, Tonkin's fabrications, 9/11's missed warnings, and catastrophic plans like Meuse-Argonne, Bataan, Hamburger Hill, and Kabul's withdrawal cost over 5,000 Nebraskan lives, accumulating debt and leaving the state and nation vulnerable to invaders and health crises. Each conflict should have taught leaders to reject federal treachery and prioritize Nebraska's and America's security. The economic toll of these wars burdened Nebraska's farms, businesses, and towns, where young men were taken, some never to return, while the social cost of returning veterans and community division weakened the state's fabric. The ultimate fault lies with Nebraska's citizens and voters, who bear a profound responsibility for allowing their sons to be taken for wars that enriched bankers and globalists, costing families their lineage. These citizens, through their acquiescence, have enabled a cycle of treachery that has spanned generations, failing to hold leaders accountable at every level. Governors, congressional delegates, state legislators, and mayors for their complicity in sending Nebraska's youth to die in senseless conflicts. Parents and families, in honoring the bravery and memory of their fallen sons, do not diminish their legacy by demanding an end to this betrayal. Instead, they must rise as a unified force, insisting that their fellow Nebraskans and Americans reject these wars and hold leaders accountable for their treacherous decisions. The courage of Nebraska's young men, who fought valiantly despite deplorable leadership, deserves a legacy of change, not continued sacrifice. Voters must demand that leaders prioritize Nebraska's and America's security, rejecting globalist agendas and ensuring no more sons are lost to corrupt wars. This call for accountability extends to every citizen, who must recognize their role in breaking the cycle of insanity, ensuring that Nebraska's heartland values are protected and that the state's and nation's future is not marred by the same betrayals that have cost so many lives. Families, grieving yet resolute, must lead this charge, honoring their sons by forging a Nebraska and America free from the treachery of its leaders, whose corrupt decisions under America's reckless leadership have weakened the state and nation, betraying the Heartland's values and future. On May 26, 2025, Nebraska paused to honor over 5,000 fallen heroes, their courage etched in the Heartland soul. From World War I's muddy trenches to the deserts of post-9/11 conflicts, these sons of Lincoln, Scottsbluff, and Omaha dreamed of a vibrant Nebraska, but were betrayed by corrupt leaders. Governors like Keith Neville, Dwight Griswold, and Pete Ricketts, alongside congressional delegates and legislators, sent them to die in wars rooted in deceit. World War I for banker profits, Vietnam on fabricated pretexts, and Iraq for corporate gain. These conflicts, driven by catastrophic military plans, offered no benefit to Nebraska or America, costing lives, crippling farms, and fracturing communities. World War II's necessity after Pearl Harbor was marred by inept leadership, while Korea and the Gulf Wars squandered lives for globalist agendas. Economic strain from war debts and inflation devastated Nebraska's agriculture, with towns like North Platte, McCook, and Alliance facing despair and labor shortages as young men never returned. Socially, veterans' trauma and unchecked immigration deepened division, ignored by leaders who failed to secure the state. Today's crisis, foreign infiltration and health mandates, echoes this treachery. Governors Jim Pillen and Pete Ricketts, with Senators Deb Fischer and congressional allies, prioritize foreign aid over Nebraska's borders, leaving the state vulnerable. The Nebraska legislature's inaction and compliance with federal overreach betray the fallen, whose sacrifices demand a secure Heartland. We unveil Nebraska's leadership betrayal, sacrificing Heartland sons in corrupt global wars, a report exposing this century-long failure. It details how governors, delegates, and legislators sent 150,000 Nebraskans to senseless deaths, accumulating debt and neglecting homeland security under America's reckless leadership. Nebraskans, your fallen demand justice. Voters, parents, and families must rise, holding leaders accountable for betraying our sons. Demand an end to globalist wars and border neglect. Support new leadership at town halls, rallies, and in the voting booth. Elect leaders who prioritize Nebraska's security, rejecting federal treachery. Parents, protect your children from future wars by advocating for state sovereignty. Citizens, honor the 5,000 by forging a Nebraska free from corrupt leadership. Act now. Attend local meetings, pressure legislators, and vote out complicit officials. Break the cycle of betrayal, ensuring no more Heartland sons are sacrificed.